Hi, and welcome to Chef Joel's Kitchen. I'm so glad you could join us today for another great recipe that you can make for your family at home. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a classic recipe and make it simple and show you the basic procedures of how to put it together. The recipe is chicken fried steak. And what's so interesting about chicken fried steak, there's no chicken in it. What we're going to do is we're going to take something that most of your family love. We're going to use a hamburger patty. Now in this recipe they usually use cube steak, but since that is usually hard to find in the grocery store, a hamburger patty is a great option. You can also use a chicken patty, a veggie burger, and you could use just chicken itself. So it gives you a lot of ranges of variety of options to use to make this recipe. So what we're going to talk about in this recipe and show you is how to do a breading procedure. We're also going to show you how to pan fry correctly and how to make a sauce to go with this dish. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so with the breading procedure, we go ahead and coat the meat in the first pan evenly so that all sides are covered with flour. That'll help the liquid stick to all the areas and you don't have any gaps. And we put it into the liquid pan. We make sure it has a chance to absorb the flour, to absorb all the moisture it can. And then we'll go ahead and put it in our third pan and make sure it gets evenly coated. So that when we pan fry it, it's going to have a nice golden texture and color. It's going to be beautiful. Now let's talk about pan frying. Pan frying is a procedure to where you have a medium amount of heat and a medium amount of oil. So I have this pan going over here. It's a non-stick pan. It's what we use at home a lot. It's my favorite pan that I like to use for all of our specialty cooking. So in here I have it on medium heat now, and I've added the oil to it just enough that it just covers the bottom of the saucepan, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more depending on how thick the meat is. To check to see if it's hot enough is you can look at the pan and the oil and see if it sort of shimmers and moves a little bit. That tells you it's hot enough. The other way to do it is I take a little bit of the flour blend and I sort of sprinkle it in there. If it sizzles and doesn't turn brown immediately, it's ready to go. And that was perfect. It sizzled, it's not brown, so I know that it's not too hot. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a pair of tongs. I'm going to take my breaded hamburger patty and lay it into the pan. And when I lay it in there, I lay it away from me so the oil doesn't splatter. The other thing about pan frying is you don't want to overcrowd the pan. So I have 2 pieces. I can put 3 in here. And since this pan looks about the right size, I can get all the pieces in there. So I'm not overcrowding the pan, because if you overcrowd the pan, the temperature drops too quickly and you're no longer pan frying. So I'm going to go ahead and pan fry these for 1 to 2 minutes on each side to get them golden brown. Okay, I flipped them over now. They're nice and sizzling, they're brown on the side, and now they're just finished on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and just transfer them back to the pan that I was using, which is lined with foil. You can see, look how firm they've gotten from the breading. It's evenly browned all the way around, and if you look really closely, it's not greasy, and that's why that breading is so important, to bread it with the flour, the liquid and the flour, because it seals it in and allows it to get a super crispy exterior by still keeping the interior of the food moist. So now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer this into the oven, and we bake them for 5 minutes before we serve them. So if you're doing something else, you can keep them on the side for now, and when you're ready to serve it, you go ahead and put them in the oven, and they'll be ready, fresh and hot, to go ahead and get served. All right, now that we've finished pan frying our hamburger patty, we're going to go ahead and make the sauce. Now this is a really delicious sauce, and what's great about it is that we add some healthy option into it by using roasted sweet potatoes or yams to make part of the filler for it. So it's not tons of cheese and tons of milk, it's got sweet potatoes in it. So you're sneaking in a little bit of healthy options in there for your kids. So what we're going to do is we're going to prepare our roasted potato. And what we have here is, as I said, you could use a sweet potato or you could use a yam. This is a garnet yam. So we've washed them. So we're going to cut this in half. Just like that. And then we're going to take a little bit of oil, and you can use canola oil or olive oil depending on the oil that you like. I pour a little bit on the pan that's been lined with foil. Then I take some salt and pepper and I season right where that oil is. And then I take the flat side of the sweet potato and I set it in there and I just rub it around to get the oil on there. And the salt, same thing here. That actually helps them come off of the foil when they're cooked, and it gives it a nice brown color, and the salt and pepper give it the flavor. So we'll take these sweet potatoes or these yams and we'll put them in the oven for about 35 minutes at 375 degrees. Well, if you look here, here's the finished product. After it's been cooled, you can easily peel off the skin and you can mash a sweet potato. So in the recipe, you have mashed sweet potatoes or yams. You have liquid such as an alternative milk. We have an alternative cheese that we have in here. And of course, we have some salt and pepper to season it. So it's really simple. It has basically 4 ingredients. So let's talk a little bit about alternative milks. Here I have rice milk, I have hemp milk, and I have almond milk. Now, rice milk is the thinnest of these alternative milks, and it has the least flavor, but it is the least allergenic of the milk. So it can be used in this recipe easily. So that's one of your options. The one that we used was hemp milk. It has the same viscosity as whole milk, so I tend to like to use this for these certain recipes. What is interesting about it though, it has a grassy flavor, so you need other ingredients to sort of hide that. So if you're going to use this recipe, it's great. You don't even taste the grassy flavor, but it has the right texture. You can also use almond milk. That's another alternative, but again, if there's a nut allergy, of course you're not going to use that. And the issue with that is if you can see that it's not white, it has sort of a tan color, and that can change the color of your sauces. So in this recipe, it would work well because you have other ingredients that would change the color. But if you were trying to do just like a white sauce, you might not want to use the almond milk. So I'm going to go ahead and add my milk in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my mashed, these are the yams. And before I add the cheese, I'm going to go ahead and just get this mixed in a little bit with my wire whisk. Okay, now that I've whisked that together, I'm going to go ahead and add my cheese. And then I'm just going to slowly whisk these together over low heat until the cheese melts. Okay, now I've added my sauce to my blender. We're going to go ahead and just get this blended for a few seconds just to smooth it off. Wow, I love power tools. There you go. Very nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and give it a taste. I've already added some salt and pepper to it, but you can see, look at how smooth that is now. And that's what you want. You want a nice, smooth, creamy sauce. I just love this sauce. Now that we have everything finished, our sauce is done, our hamburger patties are now out of the oven. I have my plate prepared, which we have some steamed green beans and some mashed sweet potatoes or yams, since we already made them, so we added that to it. We're going to go ahead and just take our hamburger patty. You see it's still nice and firm from the oven. Lay that on top of the potatoes. And we're going to just take some of the beautiful sauce and we're just going to pour it right over the top of that. And there you have it. Chicken fried steak with a beautiful cheese sauce. I'm glad you could join us today for Chef Joel's Kitchen, and we look forward to seeing you back here again for Reinventing Family Meals.